Okay, good evening, everybody. Join the D.P.W. Subcommittee Town Council meeting Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. Here at 6 p.m. in the Veterans Conference Room. Agenda call to order. 2. Roll call. Councilor Daniels excused. Citizen Member Lazo.
Present.
Citizen Member Cody. He's not here yet. So, Councilor Shanier.
Yep.
Councilor Adams present. So, we have quorum. 3. Number 3, approve DPW draft minutes from May 1st.
So moved.
Okay. Any questions on it? All right, all's in favor? Abstain, or you're good?
Abstain.
Okay. 2-0-1. All right. 4, review, discuss the town manager's appointment, Tyler Gregoire, and maintenance man, equipment operator, as recommended by the DPW director, pending successful onboarding and ethics. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Rich?
So this gentleman applied to come work for us. He currently works for a company business in various duties as a driver and laborer. He had some experience in the background doing some light construction work and landscaping. He comes to us with a Class A CDL and claims that he's willing to work and wants to learn. So we're going to extend him an opportunity and see how it works out.
All you can ask for.
Any questions?
No.
Where's he live?
He lives just this side of Palmer, I believe.
Okay.
Why is that not on here?
It's not on
It's
here.
blacked out.
It's been blacked out. I don't understand why the addresses are blacked out. At least the town, you know.
Just thinking about during the cold seasons and stuff like that, bringing everybody in. All right, any other discussion on this? Councilor Marquetti?
Just curious, he has an associate's degree in criminal justice.
Yeah, that's what it says, you know.
Apparently so.
Would you rather work in police or?
I'm not sure. We did ask him about his education. He said that
Apply for that.
most of his experience in life thus far has been working for his family business. Kind of wants to get out of it for understandable reasons. So, I mean, we'll see how it works out.
All right. Any further discussion? All's in favor? 3-0. All right. Number 5, review, discuss the DPW transfer of $11,000 from 00149552900 snow and ice. Special services to 00149952430000499 repair and maintenance of buildings and grounds. DPW to pay for the repainting of the salt sheds and authorize town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
We will.
So this item, this was something that I had found in files that had, I believe might have been discussed before, I'm not sure. But the two salt storage buildings that we have, the one at DPW and the one that's at the wastewater treatment plant, have not been painted or sealed in quite some time. So we've got this contact through the purchasing conference that we went to. This is a state bid contractor. They came out, gave us a price, and the price was very reasonable for the work that they're going to do. We had a discussion, myself, Jack, and Dean, about ways to pay for it. They had suggested using funds that we had left over from this year's salt budget, and so that is what the transfer is.
They're gonna make repairs to the shed if it needs it.
So that will be additional to this, but they are capable of doing that.
And if we
Also.
don't do it, we're gonna ultimately run into problems because of the lack of maintenance.
So there currently is there's a couple of dry rot issues with the base of the buildings, specifically on the south side, the sun side. It appears that when those structures were built, that they were sealed with some sort of a polyurethane sealant on the bottom and then stained up top. It definitely has been a long time since that has been completed. So We are, I'm not looking to spend a lot more than this on repairs, but we'll do what we have to do. This is specifically for the painting and sealing of the structures.
You good, George?
I'm good.
Any other discussion? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this one and the next two items are capital items. Standard operating procedure for the town. Any purchase of equipment or vehicles over $10,000 becomes a capital item.
Correct.
Now, I did look on the town manager's capital budget plan, and I didn't see the other two items. I did see the salt shed to be painted. 2023 was 30,000, 2025, 50,000. So I'm not quite sure what 11,000 is gonna do. But regardless, it is a capital item. And if we're going to have capital planning, then these things should go through that process of requesting a capital planning, a capital budget for your department. If we're just gonna go around that and fund these things out of transfers, it kind of defeats the purpose of having a capital plan. I don't have a problem, if something's an emergency, then I don't have a problem with that, but just to start funding things because you need something or you want something,
So can I,
it's not
Can I
a good,
interrupt you
it's
for-
not a good plan in
no,
my
I
opinion.
get that. I respect that 100%. And as a follow-up to that, this was, as the town manager said, the current projected capital plan is currently a placeholder document that really needs to be reviewed. So we did have the conversation when we were talking about capital improvements and capital purchases for this year. In the meeting with myself and Dean, we did discuss how we were going to fund certain things, and this was something that originally we said this should go to capital. So in the process of discussing what we were going to put forth this year for capital expenses, both the town manager and Mr. Iacobucci suggested, I'm following their lead on this. This was their suggestion, that we take these funds out of money that we already have on hand so that it does not go against the capital plan for this year. I believe, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I believe the purpose for that is because they're trying to keep the current capital plan for this year slim, so that they could take any additional money and put it towards road repairs. That was the conversation that we had. So, yes, you are correct.
Okay, but it just seems disingenuous, in my opinion, to say, we're gonna keep the capital plan slim, and then we're gonna find some other way to fund capital items. To me, this reminds me of the drone purchase. They were coming down to the end, they had some money left over, let's use it to buy a toy. That's what it feels like to me. Snow and ice, I wouldn't touch snow and ice. This year, we had a good, mild winter. Next year, we might not have a mild winter. I think snow and ice should be, I know it goes back into the general funds, but that's money that could be used if we have a severe winter. So, my own opinion, this is my opinion, we should fund these kind of things out of our capital stabilization account. That's why it was created. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Lawson.
I think Councilor Marquetti makes a good point, but the thing that's in the back of my mind was a lot of this capital stuff and a lot of this financial stuff wasn't done by this D.P.W. In some of our road projects, they're going forward and he didn't have a lot of input, so he's trying to put input while on the fly. And that's why when you turn around and you say, okay, would this be in capital if you were the D.P.W. director 2 years ago? Probably not. He would probably do other things he wanted to do. I can't speak for the former director.
Thank you.
But I know that the director that's in front of us is got his opinion, and I'm gonna stand behind what he wants to do.
Well,
I think we're headed in the right direction on this.
very well, thank you. Any other discussion on this? All's in favor? Opposed? 3-0. Number 6. Number 6, review, discuss DPW transfer $14,000 from 001495529000 snow and ice special services to 001499583 small capital to cover the purchase of a vehicle code scanner and related software, and authorize the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Rich?
So this item, town manager came to me, asked me about D.P.W's mechanics servicing the remainder of the town's equipment. Apparently, for quite some time now, other town hall departments that operate the vehicles that are here for inspections, if there was an issue, they would bring them to a local service station. So the question was raised, why do we have three mechanic staff at D.P.W. and we're not servicing these vehicles, doing, just general maintenance, brakes, oil changes, so on and so forth. The question was brought to me and I said, there's no issue with that. This obviously is something new that came to my purview. We can do it. The one thing that we're missing is an actual code scanner for smaller vehicles. If you remember, this year's budget had, or was it last year's budget? I think last year's budget. Last year's budget, we purchased a code scanner for all of our equipment in heavy trucks, so that if there's any issues with them, we can scan them without having to send them off to a dealership. We can reset certain parameters and do certain maintenance tasks to them that require you to be plugged into them. This particular device is so that we can do the same thing to smaller vehicles. Something just as simple as bleeding brakes now, you have to be able to plug in and unlock the ABS system in order for it to allow you to bleed brakes. So town manager asked me what we needed. I said, we need this. We need a scanner and the software to go with it. This scanner is quoted by our current tool vendor, our Snap-on dealer that comes to the garage once a week. It comes with the total price. This includes the 3-year service contract. Once we get through the additional 3 years, we'll have to sign up for additional years to follow. So there will be a slight cost associated, a couple $1,000s with that moving forward. But this will get us to where we need to be so that we can take over the responsibilities for the remainder of the fleet.
Very well. Discussion. Councilor Shannon.
When I saw this, I was surprised that we didn't have a scanner for the vehicles in town, and we had to send out to get it readings. And I was really surprised. The other thing, I think the charter allows us to make transfers on potential capital projects. I believe it allows us to. It's not just limited to what Council Marquetti was saying. Am I correct?
It's not very good planning, that's what you're asking.
Right, but these things, sometimes I take it as, when it comes towards, like in this particular case, is that if the money's there, use it. That's my feeling. And it's not something this is totally different than what the drone's about and what happened with the drone. So I'll support it myself.
Thank you. Good. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilor Marquetti.
No, I'm set.
Oh, I thought that.
No, I'm not gonna.
Smile.
I'm not gonna keep banging my head against the wall. You guys wanna support it, support it. I pay a lot of taxes. I like to keep the budget tight and not keep spending money on toys that the town needs. So that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. All right, review, discuss, number 7, all those in favor? Thank you, 3-0. 7, review, discuss the DPW transfer for $22,000 from the 00149552900 snow and ice spec services, specialized services 001499583 small capital to cover the purchase of a utility vehicle for the use of the Oak Ridge Cemetery, and authorize the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Rich?
So again, this was something that was going to be a capital request for this year. Currently, the cemetery maintenance utilizes a gas-powered golf cart that was, I believe, surplus by the school department some years ago. I was approached by Johnny Alicia, who handles most of the responsibilities for tracking the maintenance. of the cemetery, and he had told me that there had been talk over the years of requiring or a need for a much better piece of equipment to do the work that they do, something that they could carry some material on. The original quote, we were looking at a different unit that was approximately $14,000 more than this. Again, the purchasing conference that I went to, I ran into this particular unit. It's a Kubota unit, sold and serviced locally in Spencer at Ahern Equipment, and on state bid contract for just shy of $22,000. So we decided that that was just as much a feasible unit as what we were looking at prior, and with a significant cost savings.
Very well, discussion.
Again, I went to see what the golf cart was about, what it looked like and what it does. And I was amazed that they put fill to cover a grave, but to fill a hole from the grave, they put it in 5-bucket peels, 5-gallon peels a bucket, and make multiple runs for that. And then I said, why can't you go with the pickup truck? Well, it's pretty hard to go to the pickup truck in the middle of a plot when it's off the road, and that they utilize this. So again, something I was surprised that we didn't have already for the cemetery, and I think it'll be used not only for the cemetery but throughout the facility over the course of the year. Am I correct?
I'm sure we'll find other uses for it.
You all set?
Yep.
So the golf cart's gonna go to surplus and won't auction off by the town, is that how it's gonna work?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I know this is off topic, but it'll be really quick. Software for the grave sites. Is that a capital plan next year?
Something that I have to learn more about. I know that that was something that was in progress a few years back, and there was some issues with staffing that created kind of a dead end for that project. So we need to see what we have to do to revitalize it.
Just my recommendation is put it in there next year. I know there's some people that don't want to maybe utilize it, whatever it may be, but I think it's, I will tell you, just listening to Keith answer questions all day long about where's so-and-so, or veterans events and stuff like that, I think it's just about time we kick that up a little bit. All right, anything else? All those in favor? Yeah. Number 8, review discuss contract with Ty and Bond for $95,000 for the reservoir number 3 dredge feasibility study funded from project account number 4200530000644485. We're all water improvements, and authorize the town manager to sign all the paperwork. Yeah, entertain a motion.
So
Wait till
You
you look
okay,
at,
Steve?
wait till you look at
Wait
me.
for me to look at you. Come on. All right, it's so difficult. Go ahead.
So we've been talking for a while now about getting something moving for doing some general maintenance to some of our reservoirs, specifically dredging, which will also coincide with the tree maintenance around the edges of the reservoirs. So this is a required part of the process to get this project moving. In order to start off with any of the permitting and even looking into being able to do it, we have to have a feasibility study completed. And if Mr. Gregoire wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, this feasibility study is, you can see through the task orders, they're doing enhanced topographic mapping, enhanced sludge and sediment sampling on top of the work we've already done in-house. All of this is required just to get the permit so we can start the design phase of that project in the hope of improving raw water quality for the whole town. They've determined that Res 3 can get hypoxic during the summertime, which will lead to the color we get. And like the director had said, this really is step one of a multi-step engineering phase to get to the point we can bid out and do that project.
Very well. Which?
the $95,000, are we gonna come back for more? Because it appears that a lot of times that we do these studies and we hire these engineering firms, that we ultimately get 2, 3, 4 times we have to go back and appropriate money for it. Is this pretty much what it's going to
Yeah,
cost?
this one's a cut and dry study. It's not a design, and it's not oversight of a project. It's very much pretty simple meat and potatoes. They'll go in, they'll do the study, and then it'll take us to the next phase. That'll be a different contract with them to move forward with design. Design and bid, like any other project, there can always be change orders down the road, because once you drain the reservoir, you may find things you don't expect. We're pretty sure we know what's down there. We've had it drained before, but this is a pretty cut and dry procedure.
DEP's requiring you to do most of this?
Yeah.
We just can't go in there and dig it out?
No.
No,
Oh, no.
wish we could. This is 26 acres when it's drained. It's a big project.
Steve, you good?
I'm good.
Council Marquette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for you. So in the capital budget, there's a $2 million bond for dredging, so that's what this study is for, when you do that bond.
Yes, yeah, we have 350,000 set aside
Right.
for the engineering, of which we're using 95 on this.
Okay.
2 million will be for the actual work.
So I could not find this account number anywhere. I looked in every single line item that I could find. So where is this raw water, project account? 420,000, 53, 530,000, 64485. Where is that account? I couldn't find it.
Yes, that was money the council transferred out in budget for last year that was engineering for a filter plant expansion that we decided not to do. We decided to focus on raw water quality. The council voted for the transfer, and that's the number the town account gave me.
So this account number is in water,
Mhm.
the water enterprise,
Mhm.
but it was transferred out. I mean,
It
I
was
cannot.
transferred from in-budget capital into a project account
Okay,
in last year's fiscal year.
all right. Couldn't find it. I'll look in this year's budget.
Yeah.
So I was
It's
looking.
in the project list, it's not in the in-budget stuff.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's the number that Christine gave you, so
All
I'm
right,
assuming she's got it spot on.
okay.
You want me to shoot something to Jack real quick and just
If
verify
you
this
want,
number?
I mean, it might be in the next 2025's budget. I don't know. I was looking in this year's budget because.
No, it's not a budget item, it's a project account. Yeah, it's not.
So you got a
it's not
budget
in
line item and then they create an account for that project itself,
Oh,
okay?
I see.
Yeah, it's
So
not an in-budget project, it's
Could
an
not find it.
external project account,
That's why.
similar to some of the other ones
All
that
right.
we talked about in the past.
Okay,
Anything else?
no, I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Okay. Number 9, review, discuss water department grant opportunity for an EPA DEP cybersecurity grant for up to $50,000. No town match required. Be used to upgrade radio communication from SCADA system to provide encryption, enhance programming, and authorize the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Very well, sir.
I'm gonna pass this one along to Mr. Gregoire also. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about SCADA lately, so I will refer to him.
So, this is an open grant DEP has that closes at the end of the month. As the agenda item mentions, it's up to $50,000. Most towns can only qualify for 10 because we're listed as a disadvantaged community. We can go up to 50,000 for the grant, which we qualify for. Since we're in a recorded meeting, I'm a little hesitant to say exactly what we're gonna use it for, because I would choose not to list our liabilities on open air.
Yep.
I can say that it's a very, it would be very hard for somebody to get into our system. It's not as if we have a huge liability right now, but this will close that gap to zero. It's the one thing that we identified that we're slightly vulnerable at, and by doing this enhancement and encryption through a hardware encryption, this will
Help.
this will get us as locked down as we possibly can be.
Very well.
And there is no match.
You
So
got-
for us, it's gonna be,
You guys did this a few years ago too, correct? Not the
We did
grant
this
itself,
several-
but it was the security.
yeah, we did a major security upgrade at the plant. I can tell you this upgrade won't happen out in the plant, it's actually out in the system at our pump stations.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because our pump stations are all interconnected back to the plant.
Very well. All right. Discussion.
All set.
Dave, maybe you, can something like this go to an executive session? I mean, it's security, and I believe it can, but I think when there's more to explain and those kind of things that, again, because of the open meeting law, I'd much rather, I'm gonna support this, but I think when it comes time to sign the contract and then, and know what we're gonna be doing with the SCADA, that, we go to executive session maybe
You
and
just have to pull up whatever, there's only 10 reasons why you go into executive
Right.
session. I don't know if one of
I
them
thought
covers
one of
this.
them was security and, that
It
kind
could,
of stuff.
I just don't have the paperwork in front of me.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't,
either.
but I know it's like,
I can reassure you that the vendors we're gonna use are the current vendors we're already using, for our SCADA system. So they're the ones that recommended this to us. They're the ones who found the vulnerability. We're not bringing in outside, I'm real careful with SCADA. I don't like to bring in outside vendors a lot.
Right.
They can, more people that know our system, the more vulnerable we are.
I guess I'm more concerned that you'd be put in a situation by counselors trying to explain something at a meeting that you don't want to explain, and not, so you don't look like you're evading
Sure.
the questions.
out of respect for what Steve is talking about here, I think we just have to use some complete common sense when it comes to security. We shouldn't be asking all the details in there. Walking in there, understanding that we probably shouldn't be asking any of those damn questions at all. Just my 2 cents on it. But with that being said, understood. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Any, discussion? Councilor Marquette?
What, I think
Oh, did you have your?
No, I was just gonna say, if there's a council request, I'm not gonna request it. But I mean, if there's a council that wants to request some detail on your discussion, yeah, I think it is covered in the executive session, but I don't know why a council wanna put themselves in that position to know that stuff.
I mean,
Because then you become more vulnerable to your council. So I mean, I think it's circled back. I think he's got the right idea. to
I would
council.
hope he would sit there
And
and say, no, you're not getting it.
I'd be glad to give a full presentation once we're complete as well.
Right.
Very well, thank
That'd
you.
be a good idea, maybe.
You all set? Yeah, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So because this is first of all, this is just a grant opportunity. We don't know we're gonna get this grant yet.
Correct.
And because it's security, this doesn't have to go out to bid or anything like that?
It can go out to bid, and once we get the grant, and once it goes through DEP, I'm asking to sole source it to the vendor that we use for this product, for the obvious security reasons.
All right, sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I hate to sole source, but I
Yeah,
also
but
don't
you're
like to have
just
our
applying for the
information.
grant. When is it due? You said the
End
end
of the
of
month, yeah,
May or June?
end of June.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's already, it's on my
Good to go.
computer, ready to go, ready to submit.
I gotta go.
Why not? We assume it's already ready. So, all right, anything else? All those in favor? 0. Thank you. 10, review, discuss proposed engineer job description, entertain a motion to recommend to town council.
So moved.
Very well, thank you. Rich?
So we've been talking about this for almost as long as I've been here, actually as long as
Probably
I've been
longer
here,
than you.
longer than I was here. So originally when I came on back in February of 2023, I was told that the hardest part of my job was going to be to find my second in command. That was a lie. But moving on from that,
I still believe it is.
we had conversations about whether we wanted to hire an inspector, whether we wanted to hire just a deputy director, whether we should hire a deputy director, town engineer. We've had some changes that have transpired since then with the makeup of the public works department, specifically in the administrative staff and the organization. So what the town manager and I have discussed as to fulfill the needs of the town, we opted to try to push this position forward to council approval to hire a town engineer based off of the responsibilities most of the responsibilities that were completed prior to my time here when Mr. Desjardins was engineer/deputy, but we took a lot of the supervisory stuff out of the job description. We added in some other responsibilities. This person's primary functions would be to assist with the grant tracking stuff with Peg Dean and overseeing any of the grants and trying to keep track of timelines for those things. helping with the pavement bids and the sidewalk bids and overseeing those projects, doing the inspections on those projects, oversight for projects. Obviously, not every single project, that this person would definitely have their hands in every project, but would not always be the direct oversight. You know, there are some larger projects that we would, you know, we will still require the services of an outside engineering firm regardless. The oversight aspect of that would lessen significantly, I feel, if we actually had somebody on staff that was qualified and whose purpose was to be that person that was on the job site, if not for the entirety of a day, a work day, at least be checking in throughout the day to make sure that everything is going according to design, if there's any issues, and then report anything back to me for, you know, final judgment on whatever was happening, and throughout the entire process, whether it would be through the grants or through any other projects that were going on. This person would report directly to me, would have a reasonable amount of control over, you know, day-to-day activities with my guidance.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Singh.
Would this person be your eyes out in the field, like on Main Street project and that kind of thing?
Yes.
And okay, so all during that process?
Yes, and as an assistant to myself, I would
Right.
still maintain, you know,
Right.
overall involvement in everything that was going on, but I would at least be able to have somebody that could be there, because most of the time I cannot.
Right, okay, thank you.
Steve, anything? Anybody else? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. This position's been open for a long time. And I think, wasn't there a problem with trying to find somebody to come in and be the engineer? Maybe a salary issue, I really don't know, but, so all you're doing here is just changing the job description. But you really don't have somebody to come in and
So-
take the job.
To answer that, so when I came on board, there was a lot of turmoil between what was going on, where we had to go, what the town actually needed. I put the stop to a few things that I didn't feel were going to be the correct path. And at that time, also, I wasn't here long enough to be able to figure out exactly what those needs were going to be. I feel at this point in time, as it has been a struggle for myself in the role that I have, because there is nobody else. I have Hannah now. She's been handling some of the responsibilities that would be of like a deputy director. She's still very much so caught up in accounting responsibilities and, you know, things that perhaps are under her position as we're transitioning and training Liza into her role as executive assistant and so on. So we're currently on the upswing as far as the revitalization of the department to have it be better managed. So this, I think, is the final piece that we need. There's definitely most of the conversation since I've been here has been focused towards making sure that we are on track with all the projects. And there's quite the list of projects even now that, you know, we're closed out South Street, we're working on closing out West Street, but now we're moving on to the rail trail, which is going to require somebody from the town to be very intimately involved with. At the moment, that's going to be my responsibility. I don't have the capacity for it. You know, in other projects such as the upcoming TIP project, we're getting ready to go out to bid for East Main, Crane River. We have the two Mass DOT bridges that, you know, we're still going to have somebody involved in those projects. And then even moving forward from that, whatever current road projects that we're going to try to complete this year, and then also moving forward to plan for future years. The need is definitely there. We have done our diligence with doing, you know, some study on what the salaries are for a position like this. The town manager had held the money that was originally in this position. It was slated for $110,000 a year. That funding is still available. That's moving forward in this current budget. And we feel that moving forward with that number at this time, we should be able to find somebody to fill that role.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor? 3-0. All right. Number 11. I just asked Rich to put this on here. I know we've talked about it multiple times. I know as the finances have been tweaked and got a little tighter here and there, we kind of have an idea where some of this funding's at. I just asked to bring him in. I know George and I sat down with him here a few months back and went through quite a few things that he would like to see done. Well, we know all the tip projects that are happening. We know the rail trail, all that, but we're looking more so today was kind of like sidewalks and, you know, some of the roads that you may want. And Rich and I did discuss a couple, I think it was 3 or 4 streets just the other day, just to touch bases. But I just want to ask them to throw something together or just talk to us about it so we can ask some questions.
So currently, I have a limited plan for this year just due to the large amount of volume of things that are moving currently. We do need to do some road repairs. It's very obvious. My crew just started being able to hot patch, potholes. They started out on Dennison Drive. They have a long ways to go aside from Dennison Drive, but I'm looking at the possibility of trying to get Dennison paved from South Street to Durfee Street this year, milled out and paved. Looking at Fairmont Avenue, which is off of Charlton Street, get that milled out and paved. And we are looking at Durfee Street from Eastford Road west up the hill on the backside of the golf course by Hillside. Milled out and paved, and then some various paving in other locations throughout town. I know the police chief is on me big time because he has money to pave his parking lot, so we want to get that done. We want to do some paving repairs at the water treatment facility. Some road patching. I noticed that the nice patches that we put on Dresser Hill held up very well over the winter, but then the other side of the road is now starting to Frankenstein itself fairly well. So we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. There are some other locations that we're looking at trying to, make some repairs to, not necessarily permanent treatments, but make repairs to help keep us moving so we can work more towards a formative plan. There's a lot of small streets and towns in this town that haven't been looked at in forever. We've been focusing a lot, on some of the larger main arteries, which are very important. I'm looking at trying to come up with some options on how to save Eastford Road and North Woodstock Road before they become a detriment, because I really don't want to have to figure out how we're going to come up with the money to pave all of those spans of road, plus also continue with making necessary repairs to the in-town area. It's going to take some time, obviously. It's going to take some money, but we're working on putting together a process to get there.
What about Dresser?
Dresser
Talk about
Street.
Dresser.
Dresser Street?
Yep, Dresser Street.
So, as I said before, I spoke with National Grid, and they informed me that they were going to be issuing us a pavement, project manager or what have you, that was going to be the person that was going to oversee all of our restoration in town for all the open permits and even the past permits. So just the other day, I printed out the list of all of the National Grid permits that have been pulled for the last 5 years. My intention is to go through that list with a highlighter and it's every permit per se, every road permit that has been pulled. So I want to go through specifically and highlight all the National Grid ones, and I'm going to give that the task of doing a visual inspection to somebody in my department to say, okay, has this been repaved, repaired, fixed, sidewalks, road, so on, so that I can come back, because they have now. First I was told that there was no pavement person, and now I actually have a contact for that specific pavement person. And they have asked me for any concerns that I have so that they can put forth a plan. So my part of that is I pushing them to pave the hill, or pave Dresser up all the way to the top of the hill, because of the large amount of patches in the road that are all National Grid.
Was the stuff done on Dresser Hill, right at the beginning where you make a right going back on the main, was that National Grid as well?
But by the looks of it, that was the gas main that was installed when it went circled around to go up to the school.
That's old. I mean,
That's
all
old.
those
And it's
dogs are.
Yes, and it's all sunk
They're
in.
right on the left side of the road.
Let's say Gulfwood, that's a water line.
Dresser.
Yeah.
Dresser Hill.
Oh,
You're going up on the left, Scotty.
Make a left and go to the Sids.
No, I thought
That
Gulfwood
was-
Road, going to the high school, you're talking about.
Oh,
That's the water line that there was no oversight on compaction when they did that.
Right, and they never came back and did the final coat, correct? On Dresser Hill?
I don't remember. It's been-
On Dresser Hill?
Yeah.
For
by
that
the
patch?
suit.
No, they never
No.
did their repair. They never came back and milled that patch out. That's still temporary pavement for when they installed the gas
Right.
main.
Yeah, it's just, that's what I was asking. I drive it almost every day.
I got one thing, I brought it up, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I don't know if I get the name of the road, but where Attorney Caprera lives, on that Four Corner Way, there's a road that goes up to La Salette. There's a little stone bridge there.
It's Durfee Street.
That's Durfee.
Is that Durfee all the way up? Okay, there's a little stone bridge. People up there were concerned about how structurally sound it is. It's pretty rough through there. And I asked
did
someone to look
drive
at it
by.
a long time ago, and I don't know if
Is
that
that the-
anything.
That's the, no, him and I talked about that.
That's the bridge just in from Eastford Road.
Correct.
Yeah.
I did go out there and I went down and I looked at the bridge. The structure of the bridge is fine. It's
Yeah.
the road is junk.
Yeah. People up there are concerned that, I mean, they have some nice houses up there.
Absolutely, and
My
that was
apo-
one of the roads that we were looking at resurfacing this year.
I drove it after you said it. I talked to Rich about it. Apologized if I didn't get back with you, but he said it was structurally sound.
Okay, thank you.
When's Pioppi coming back? Gulfwood and Ellis.
He told me I talked to him Tuesday. He said 2 weeks.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, through you. So the council did vote on a road improvement plan a couple of years ago,
Correct.
and I see that it has been moved off of this year. It's not, according to the new capital budget, it's not going to happen until 2026 is when the next borrowing will take place, according to this. The original plan was to borrow 1.5 million every year, up to 7.5 million. So, why has it been removed from this year if you know? You don't?
I don't have that answer. I do know that Jack and Dean are still working diligently to try to figure out where we are financially. I think that's currently the holdup. There really hasn't been any available time to have many discussions, between myself and Jack and Dean about, how we were going to pay for certain things. I think at the moment, again, like I said earlier, I think that they're working currently on trying to take whatever they can out of free cash at the end of the year to put towards roads, but I don't know that for sure. And I don't know, was that $1.5 million per year part of that $10 million
Yes.
borrow
Yeah.
thing? So that I think that we did have some conversation about that, and the conversation was that we should probably review that want, I guess, as nothing against borrowing. Currently, we are looking to borrow for the East Main Street project and to complete the 2 small bridge projects, so we don't lose the grant funding. So there will have to be a borrow this year to pay for those. But we have to look into what we have for incoming revenues so we can determine if we're gonna be able to make up for that borrowing, if we're gonna complete the rest of the 10 million.
So you said, when you started off, you said that this year you're not planning on doing a lot of road work? Just maybe,
So
Dresser Street?
this year, we're gonna use some Chapter 90 funds and plus whatever we can get together. We're already running late into the season as far as being able to put projects together and get contractors and so on. We're gonna try to do whatever we can to make some significant repairs to some roads and, potentially get some resurfacing done on a couple smaller streets and hopefully be able to come back next year with a more formative plan and know better what we have for finances.
So Dresser Hill, or Dresser Street and maybe,
Dresser Street, I'm
Denison.
hoping to have paid for by National Grid.
and Denison?
So right now we're looking at Denison from South Street to Durfee. Durfee Street from Eastford Road to the dead end. And then Fairmont Ave off of Charlton Street.
And there's other plans that we've done in the past, like
Yes,
seal coating, crack sealing,
yes.
fog sealing.
So we
No
will.
plans for that this year?
So crack sealing is important if you have roads that are candidates for crack sealing. Fog sealing will not happen again under my leadership here.
You don't like it?
And that was a waste of money. There
Especially
was-
after you line the roads already.
Those,
He knows what we're talking about.
unfortunately, the town missed a grand opportunity. When that happened, those roads should have been rubber chip sealed. And, yeah, they could still possibly be with some additional repairs. That's what I'm looking at now, to save them, so we don't have to spend the money to resurface them. It's a significant lesser cost, and it'll extend the lifespan of the road surface. But, yeah, that shouldn't happen.
Okay.
That rubber
Yes.
chip seal, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That rubber chip seal, is that something that can be done to the secondary roads that are in decent shape, that before they get to bad shapes?
It has its places. If there's a lot of turning traffic, a lot of loads, or any of those sorts, it's really not recommended. You can use it in smaller neighborhoods. There's a couple of other thin surface processes that you can use in sections or neighborhoods that have, better conditioned roads. Fog seal's not one of them, but definitely some stuff that we're gonna be looking into to try to figure out how to successfully push ourselves ahead from where we are.
I just look at the roads like at High Street, Upper High Street, Upper Cole Ave, those streets that are just automobile traffic most of the time, other than maybe some utility vehicles going through.
Right.
Coombe Street, Warren Street, those kind of things. It's not heavy traffic, but if it's a chip seal, rubber chip seal, not
Some of the
stones.
issues that you run into, and this doesn't apply to all those streets, but traffic, hills are very important when it comes to road resurfacing. Not every technique can be used on a road that is a hill, because you have the deceleration factor, which creates a skid, which is a different force on the road surface.
By Mill Street.
So,
Right.
there's definitely some streets that will qualify for some other surface treatments. A lot of them are in such poor shape that our only choice is gonna have to be to repave.
Mike, did you finish up with your
Yeah,
question?
I'm all set, thank
Yeah,
you.
okay, yeah. Anything else on that? The only other one would be sidewalks or anything like that. Are we looking at hiring a contractor in
So
to go around?
we were putting out a bid for sidewalks at the same time as we messed up the asphalt bid. So as soon as we get the asphalt bid squared away, we're gonna try to get a sidewalk one going,
Roger that. Thank you.
so.
Any other discussion on it? All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?